Hey there, this is Linda, and today we're going to talk about what worked and what didn't work in 2024 and take a look back through some of my journals and planners from this year in anticipation of 2025. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, I am so excited to share my 2025 lineup with you guys soon, and I'm still working it out. I'm pretty positive on everything that I'm doing so far. I'm still waiting for a couple pieces to arrive, but for now, I have all of my 2024 books and journals here, or almost all of them, and I wanted to kind of go through what was working and what wasn't working because I feel like that's a very important piece of choosing your lineup for the new year. I know there's so many videos out there right now of people sharing their 2025 lineup and all the excitement surrounding them. But for me, I really want to find a lineup that's going to work for me, that I'm not only excited about going into the new year, but that I'm going to be able to use for the year, or hopefully will stick with. And for me, a lot of that is learning from what worked and what didn't work in the past. So we're going to talk about where I am right now with my 2024 lineup, what has stayed the same, what has changed, and a little bit about why. Okay, so first I want to talk about this little guy. This is so cute. This is an A6 Hobonichi original. I believe, oh no, it's actually not. It's an A6 Hobonichi Day Free. See, I don't even remember what this is. And my plan was to use this as a media journal. I covered it with this gorgeous paper from Cocoa Daisy and this beautiful sticker from ABC. And I just love how it looks so much. It's so cute. And I had done such a great setup in here to document my favorite media for the year. I started at index and I started doing my reflections and my ratings of various movies and books. You can see I have gaps as early as January where I didn't fill things in. I did push myself to add in more about my books, and I really love the concept of this, and I thought this book was so cute, but I bailed on it, and I bailed on it pretty early. You can see I kept coming back in March, and I would set things up and do my readings, and I never did my reflections. And I thought a lot about it, about why this wasn't working for me. And the reality was I really love the concept. I really want to reflect on my media, but it was just too time consuming. You can see here I have some where I didn't even print the art, and then I have one here where I did, and some more where I didn't, and some where I never did even the stamping. So it just wasn't working for me to keep this in a separate book. The other thing that I really found is that A6, while so cute, just isn't functional for me. It's really hard for me to write in something this small, and I just struggle with it. So I decided to bail on this, and you will not see anything in the A6 size in my 2025 lineup because it just doesn't work for me. For media, I decided to move it into my main journal in 2024, and that's working pretty well, but I'll talk a little bit more about that when I get to my Hobonichi cousin. Next, I want to talk about some of my ongoing journals because these are likely going to continue in my 2025 lineup. I have two of them, and so these ones do not have a specific date on them. This one is a 5-year journal, and this one is my commonplace, and I did date it 24, but that's for volume 1, and I will probably add 25 on here because it's not that full. And I have shared a few videos here with my commonplacing updates, and I don't film every time I work on this, but I don't honestly work on it that often. Once every couple of months. I still love the concept. I love how these pages look. I love the opportunity to have a traveler's notebook in my collection, and I'm going to continue this in 2025. This one is a Hobonichi 5-year journal, and I'm not using it as a traditional 5-year journal. Instead, I'm using this as a house journal. And basically what that means is this is where all that useful information goes about my house. So for example, here, I am redoing the reading room in my house. And so on June 7th, this year, I purchased 2 cans of paint for the reading room. And I wrote in here the color, the finish, and I added in the paint swatch over here. Here on June 8th, I had a sprinkler appointment to fix one of my zones in my sprinklers, and I wrote out like what happened. Going back to May 5th in 2023, I treated the lawn. I sprayed the exterior for bugs. So this is just kind of taking note of those types of things, of maintenance things. And when I need it, I put more stuff here. So here's a good example of a page is April 15th, 2023. I got mulch. I weeded for the first time this season, and the first tulips came up. On the same exact date in 2024, the first tulip bloomed. So now I know April 15th is not only tax day, but it's also first tulip day. We'll see if that rings true in 25. But I also use this to document my laundry room redo, which was completed on April 14th. And I had just written some stuff in there. So I just flipped to this page and I put my before and after photos of my laundry room in here, which I just love having that. I love that this has space for my notes each day and a blank page if I need to put some additional stuff. You can see there's a lot of days that I don't have anything in here. That's because nothing happened to that day. And honestly, once I get to the end of 2027, I might go back and just put like the next and make this like a 10-year journal, because there's not home maintenance stuff every single day. So I do have a lot of blank pages, and these books are expensive, but this is super, super useful for what I'm using it for. And it's a great alternative to doing a traditional 5-year journal if you love this book, but you don't know what to use it for. Next, I'm going to mention my actual 5-year journal. So I don't share this on my Instagram or YouTube really, because this is actually private, but I'm going to find a day that I can share. Okay, so here's a good date that I can share. I don't share most of the days in here, but I do have daily journaling, and this is using an A5 dot grid. It's the extra width one from Archer and Olive, and I actually needed 2 to get the full year in. So this is just one of the volumes, and you can see I did this for each day. And then I also have this at the end of the month where I put a photo of myself. So here is what July looked like for 22, 23, 24. And then now I'm going to go into 25. What I did do differently for this than a traditional 5-year journal is I did not start on January 1st. I started on my birthday, which is October 10th. So I am currently in year 4 in here, and I will finish this on my 40th birthday. And then I will probably take a little bit of break till January and start a new one with a traditional 5-year journal. Honestly, I would have used one of these from Hobonichi when I started this if I had already been a fan of Hobonichi products. But when I started this, it was October 2021. And I wasn't yet into Hobonichi products. I didn't start them until 2023 is when I got my first Hobonichi cousin. So I really hadn't yet adventured into using Tomoe River paper or that type of journal. So I do love this. I love keeping it. I keep it by my bedside, and I just jot something down at the end of the day each day. Sometimes I skip it and I fill it in later. Totally fine. I am happy to continue this in 2025. So those 3 are definitely still staying in 2025. I'll probably make note of that in my 2025 lineup video, but I'm just going to push them off to the side for right now. I also wanted to talk about this one. So this is a Paper Test Designs, the yearly notebook, undated, and I can't remember what size this is called, but I think it's a traveler's notebook size. And this is what I use for my work planner. So if you watched my 2024 lineup video, you will know that I started with a Hobonichi Weeks. That is what I had used in 2023, and it was working for me, but I decided it wasn't working anymore towards the middle of 2024, and I needed something different. I don't share this online, and I cannot share this online because of the secrecy required by my job, but I am going to share some blank pages with you that I already set up, so you can kind of get an idea of how I use this and why the weeks wasn't working. So for me, I really loved this layout because it has this weekly view that's similar to the Hobonichi Weeks, but instead of just one page, you get 3 or 4, let's see, there's this side, and then there's 1, 2, 3 full spreads. So you actually have 7 full pages. So if you wanted these to be dailies, that would work. But what I use this for is for notes. So you have a few extra pages here rather than the Hobonichi weeks where all the note pages are in the back. You have them between the weeks. So what I use this for is this is my my work calendar where I keep track of meetings. I keep track of my hours that I work. I keep track of the hours of the employees that I supervise. And then here I have a weekly running to-do list. And on this side and the following pages, I keep notes. This works really well for me, and I'm going to continue this into 2025. This isn't undated, so I will just do it until I run out of weeks, and then I will likely order another undated if the system is still working for me, but it's not going to be at the beginning of the year. I did consider getting a dated one for 2025 and just kind of bailing on this one, but honestly, I don't mind setting it up. I just add week of, I add the dates, I highlight the days that I am in the office. This line designates the end of a pay period. Here I put like my priorities, my to-do list, and then I've been adding some washi tape to the weeks, and you can see I set this up in advance, on the weekend at home. I just add a little bit. I did like a couple months at a time where I add in some washi tape just to give myself something a little bit fun to look at while I'm at work. Okay, now let's get into the main 2024 lineup. This one was such a success. So this is a Hobonichi 85 day free. And this is what I used for my craft planner in 2024. And honestly, I actually moved into this. Let's see here. I moved into this book in October 2023 because my craft planner for 2023 just was not working for me. And I needed something different. I had just kind of discovered Hobonichi in 2023, and by that point in 2023 I was such a Tomoe River paper fan. I really just wanted to get into something with a different type of paper. The planner I was using, the paper was like rough, and although it was thick, it just did not sit well with me and my pens, and I just didn't like it. So I bailed on it and I used this one. This has been working super well. What I do is I use the monthlies to plan out I don't plan out my content, but this is like once it's scheduled to post, I have it all listed out here so I know what's going on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram. So you can see like where I have content scheduled through at the point that I'm filming this video. And then I have, some main pages at the front with my craft goals. I have my content trackers or my follower count trackers. I don't really pay too much attention to it, but I do check in once per month just to make sure I'm on the right track. I have a page for ideas. Then I have an index and I get into my content. And this is where I just do a lot of craft planning. So I have here's a December daily plan. I have this where I planned out my album and what kit I was using for each spread in Project Life. Let's see, I also, I put this Allie Edwards calendar in here. I use this to do my story plans. I have all of the story kit ones that I've done for the classrooms in here. And then each month, let's find a more recent, here's October. Each month I do my craft goals and my tracking of my supplies. My plan is, this has just been working super well, so I don't really think I need to change anything for this going into 2025. Next, we're going to talk about my everyday carry. So I got the B6 Common Planner. I was super excited about this one because in 2023, I used my Hobonichi cousin as a catch-all planner and journal, which I felt didn't work for me, although it works for so many people and they look so pretty when they do them. I really needed my functional planning to be separate from my memory keeping. So this was a place for me to do my purely planning. So I have tracking of my chores. I have trackers of habits, my habit tracker of habits that I wanted to make sure I was doing. I have my monthlies, which include like my future planning schedule. Then it has the weeklies. Let me show you a blank weekly. That were the vertical weeklies that looked similar to the Hobonichi Cousin, but smaller. And then in the back, it just has blank pages. My original plan was to use these vertical weeklies as functional planning, and this for dailies. I do need daily pages, but you can see here, this is an August week. Here's a July week, totally blank. I found I was using these. I was not really using them. I was setting them up. They were cute, and then I just didn't use it. You can see here, I didn't use it at all. Here's one I did write some stuff in, but then I kind of bailed a little bit. Here I wrote in things. I never even filled out these lists on the side. It wasn't working for me. And so I decided in June to bail on it. I did use these as my daily pages. So I had some quarter goals, and then I was just doing plain dailies in here and other random planning. So I liked having the blank pages for other random plans. You can just see like there's some things are kind of messy. Some are, I tried a little bit more to make them cute. I don't know, it was working, but the weeklies, having like the separate weeklies and the monthlies just wasn't working, or the weeklies and the dailies weren't working for me. The monthlies were, and I am continuing to use that. But starting in June, I kind of bailed on the weeklies. And what I decided to do instead, let's find it here, was create my own weekly in here. I decided a horizontal weekly like this was more useful to me because I really didn't need all that space, and I never used the hourly portion. I just needed a place to put what my appointments were, which I did here. And then I put my dailies near it. You can see I'm using a layout similar to what I have in my work planner, which this was partially inspired by, and helped inspire my choices for 2025, which I will talk more about when I get to that plan, or to my 2025 lineup in a future video coming soon. Here is how October's looking. So this is how this looks now. I have my weekly, I have my tasks, my meals, and the dailies when I need them, and then other planning pages as needed. And then so other random notes and things, and then into weeklies. And then here's my current week. So I'm having a lot of fun with this. It is working, but I didn't love this planner. I found that it didn't work for me very well, partially because some of the like original pages, there's like this goal breakdown and stuff, like I did it, but this format just doesn't work for me. Having these quarterly pages was duplicative of a lot of the tracking and stuff I had on my monthlies, so it was just a lot of time to set it up, and I didn't actually need it. And then having the weeklies in vertical format just didn't work for me. The other thing that didn't work for me is kind of going back to what I said earlier. I don't like the tiny books. They're so cute, but it's just hard for me to write. And I don't know if it's because I'm a lefty, but writing in a small book, like in any book, when I get into the bottom like piece of the page, I struggle. And so the smaller the book, the more I struggle. The larger percentage of the page is kind of unusable to me. And while I did really, really enjoy this, like it was very cute, and there are definitely parts of it I had fun with, I think I really struggled with this planner this year. I'm sticking with it through the end of the year, but it has, not only has it, I've struggled with it, but it's definitely negatively impacted my functional planning this year. Things have slipped through the cracks because I'm not grabbing this. I'm not gravitating towards it. I'm not using it. So I know something needs to change going into 2025. Okay, finally, let's talk about my favorite, my Hobonichi Cousin. I love this guy. So I'm not going to really share much of a flip through with this right in this video, because I do share monthly flip throughs of this, and I talk a lot more about how I'm using it in those videos. There's the monthlies, the weeklies, the dailies. If you're not familiar with Hobonichi Cousin, I will show you some of the blank ones. So the monthly, let's find a blank one, I guess December, it's just a standard monthly calendar. The weeklies are the vertical weeklies, similar to what was in this that wasn't working for me, but for memory keeping, this format works for me. The other thing with this one is there are no lines. Instead, the numbers are printed on the lines. And I think the thought was that, what that was, you were gonna get more space, because in this one, they printed the line and then the numbers went over. I don't use the timeline at all. I just write on top of it. It doesn't bother me, but not having lines does bother me. So that was something I did not like about it in here, and I'm able to make this page work for me in a way that I love. And then there's, of course, the daily pages. Let's flip through to November so you can see what they look like. There's a full page for each day. They have these like silly quotes at the bottom, which I don't like, but because, like I said, I struggle to write at the bottom of the page, that's great. I don't need this. I'm not gonna write here anyway. So I love that it has like a built-in buffer for a reason for me not to write at the bottom of the page. But the only thing that isn't working for me in this is it's so thick. It is so chunky because you guys can see I glue stuff in. I collage in here. Oop, there's a blank spot. I add things on pretty much every page. I'm gluing things in. I'm adding washi tape. I'm making collages. This has gotten so thick, and I still have 2.5 months of the year to go. So that is the only thing that really wasn't working from this, and I'm keeping with me going forward into 2025. The other thing I wanted to talk about was I have been consistently journaling every day now, or most every day, for a couple of years. I started this in 2023. I wanted to keep a daily journal for so long, but I wasn't able to stick with the habit until I got into the Hobonichi cousin in 23. And then moving into 24, I've gotten better and better. I do still have days like this where I skip them, and I plan to fill them in with like media, and I didn't do it. But most days I have journaling in here. And then this month I have gotten into fountain pens, and I am writing more than ever. Not only am I writing more than ever, but I am finding that I don't have enough space in here to write, which has led me to this book. So I only started this a couple weeks ago, but this is a Hobonichi, just like blank grid note page or notebook that I had picked up years ago, or not years ago, but a while ago, just to have some extra Tomoe River paper that was gridded. I have pulled pages out of it, so there are some places where papers were torn out, but I never planned on using it as a notebook. I had used it as some like random notes, and then I decided that this would be good for an overflow journal. So that is what I'm doing. I am just using a rolling date stamp and journaling in here. And this page was falling out because of where a torn page was, but mostly this is going to be super simple, just journaling. I don't intend to really share a lot of this online because I want some space where I can write more without having to worry about people seeing it. But my plan with this is just to kind of have a simple overflow journal spot for once I fill in my daily page. I don't intend to use this every day, but so far I have been loving it. And that's really something I'm keeping in mind when planning my 2025 lineup. So that wraps up my 2024 recap. I hope that this video helped give you some ideas about what has worked and what hasn't worked for me, and prompt you to maybe start thinking critically about what worked and didn't work for you in 2024 and what you want to take with you into 2025, either something that is working and you want to keep doing, or a lesson that you learned from something that wasn't working. Please let me know in the comments, what have you done in 2024 that you're going to take with you into 25, and what isn't working for you and why. I can't wait to hear what everyone is thinking about going into 2025, and I hope to share my 2025 lineup video with you guys super soon. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.